Yo, what's up everyone? Kyrios here, and today we are going to do the 20 tips or 21 or 22 tips in under 10 minutes. So I'm going to speed through these just so you guys know every tip is not in order. So first might be the best or 20th might be the best. I have no idea. We're just going to spitball these as quickly as possible. If you guys can, hit that like and subscribe. Come join us on our twitch.tv channel where we are playing Honkai Star Rail. Oh man, okay, let's go. All right, here we go. Number one. Do not level up your equilibrium until you're absolutely ready. Now, you will get the first one around TL 20. That's probably okay. You'll be off to the races. But when you get to TL 30, make sure that you have enough EXP materials, enough light cone EXP materials, and enough energy, immediate energy, because you'll have to farm for some new materials in order to ascend upwards. That if you're not ready for that, all the enemies are going to scale up to 50 or 40 or 50 or higher, where you're not going to be able to contend with that. Another pro tip, mini tip of that is go clear all the elite enemies before you equilibrium at TL 30, just to make sure they're out of the way and a lot easier. Number two, weekly boss fights should not be done until the very end of the week. Now, the reason is because the equilibrium we just talked about. As you go up higher and higher, you'll be able to get better materials, more drops, and harder fights, and eventually gold gear and multiple of those talent upgrades. Wait till the end of the week just in case you're close to getting an equilibrium up, just to make sure that you can get the most bang for your buck. Number three, in the shop, do not grab any of the materials that are listed as ×3. You can farm those technically for free every single day or over the course of the week. When you're doing a lot of simulated universe and taking down elites, they will naturally drop a lot of those materials. Those are the ones that you can farm. Now, the ×2 materials you cannot technically farm. You have to go do calyxes for or different events for energy. You could technically buy those if you're a medium lights or a medium spender, I would say, or above. But save those materials for the tickets you can get at discount every single month. Number four, when buying an item in the regional shop, you want to be careful that you do not buy them in the wrong order. And this is the big mistake. Do not buy the main character's Eidolon increase. You're not going to use her, or him. Going to change roles. It's going to have a different Eidolon increase. Do not do it. It's 1,000 currency, and you'd be much better buying gear first as a priority, then buying all the materials you need for leveling up, traces, stuff like that, and buying those EXP materials and light cone materials, because those are going to go a lot further for you in the beginning of the game than a single Eidolon increase for a character you may not even use, and one that technically gets benched until you're at the different version of that character. Number five, leveling heroes. Now, if you have not seen my guide on how you team build, and you have not seen the way that you build every single starter 5-star character, you want to just build up your core team. Pick the 4 characters that work in the team build that we have, level those up, and make sure you have enough EXP materials and stuff for leveling those. Don't level every single character. You won't use them. Only level maybe 1 or 2 alternates to shift in there, or until you have an excessive overflow of XP materials, to the point that you can go get those free summons at 20, 40, etc., etc. Don't waste materials. You're going to be hurting for it if you do that. Number 6, do not use gems in the standard banner. Yes, I know there's a 300 pity, but that 300 pity is really hard to do, and you should really only be doing the tickets that they give you. I get it. It's very enticing. I've done a few summons on it as well, but it's a little bit of hopium, and it could technically take you over 2 years. Those gems are extremely needed going forward, which brings us into point number 7 right away, is that you will not be able to hard pity on the 𝙀𝙓𝙋𝘼𝙉𝘿 banner. I might be mispronouncing that. I'm so sorry. But there's no way the hard pity is a free to play on the first limited banner as the game went live. And depending on when you're watching this, I don't know what it is. So if you're just starting, it does take you roughly about 40 days, 45 days to get to that hard pity. So save it for the second banner or until a banner that you know. Number 8, it comes to building teams. Now, we have a whole video on this, but just a little TLDR. When you're building a team, you want to make sure that you're focusing on this specific combo. Main DPS, sub DPS, which could also be a main DPS, right? If you ran Dan Heng plus, like, you know, the main character, and then support, one of them being a healer, one of them may be a shielder or a buffer, you always want to run in that combo. So always build teams around that. Once again, we have another video on that, but that's just a good tip. Don't run 4 DPS. It probably is not going to work for you unless you're an Extremo whale. Number 9, which brings us to those things that we talked about that you can farm. You can farm and level every day for free. You can go around all the enemies, not all the enemies, but some of the enemies respawn in every single zone. There's actually farming routes you can do, and you can kill up to 100 elites in the simulated universe in order to get those materials. You can also do a hard carry, put your level 50 there, and then put a lot of level 1s in, and you can just get them free XP by carrying them through all those fights. And that's honestly the way to do it for free and very easily without wasting those XP materials and that energy on XP. All right, that brings us to number 10. Do not miss the free 4-star light cones. There is a secret quest where you can get a free 4-star. There's also the regional shops. You do want to go use all your currency on them as much as possible in order to get those free 4-stars. Those are going to come in handy. Very, very useful. Also, when you get to the memory of chaos, try to get through it as much as you can to get up to 200 shards so you can actually buy a 4-star light cone from there. And there's a few that are actually really good, but we'll talk about that in another video. But just make sure that you are getting the 4 stars where you can and use them on the characters that you have. Number 11 is just the easy win for me on this one. It's do your dailies. Even if you have 5 minutes, use your dailies, use them as much as possible, blow through your energy with some calyxes, but do not miss your dailies over. If you can't do the story, that's fine. I get it. The story takes forever, but doing your dailies is the thing that matters most for progressing your TL so you don't get hit with those walls when you can do the stories. So if you can only do story every couple days, just get on, do those dailies. Very, very important. That brings us on to point number 12, which is if you also do not have time, you can shift all your energy or a lot of your energy into immersifiers. I don't know if I'm saying that right. They're the tokens for the simulated universe where you get a lot of your relics from, and you can actually turn that into 8 of them. So if you can't do anything for 2 days, just get on, shift your energy to those, and then when you do have a lot of time to play, you can go do a bunch of simulated universe and get a lot of gear just because you were holding on to those. Number 12, not every trace is good. Be very careful using your upgrades when doing traces. And also, don't upgrade the standard attack of a lot of characters. If you're bringing a support in, you don't really care that that character does a lot on their basic attack. You care more that they do more on their skill, where your primary DPS maybe cares more about doing basic attack and skill than a lot of other things. Number 13, as you progress in major milestones in the story, make sure that you open the map and just tab through all the different sections. Every now and then you'll find like a new daily, or you'll find a new quest, or maybe you'll see a new NPC that might spawn a quest. So make sure that you are constantly checking that to get those side quests, because those side quests are going to give you TL, Trailblazer EXP. That is going to be important for getting you over those humps. Number 14, progression in the simulated universe past 3,500 points is actually a good thing because you can get some ability points the further you progress. It's okay to go in there and it's okay to fail, because as you get those ability points, you can actually upgrade some of your stats, which might turn the tides with you pushing over if you don't have the right team or the correct team. And that brings us into point number 15, which also has to do with the simulated universe. Anytime that you see a blue icon next to a buff as you're going through, that means that you've never learned that buff before. So if you get it, that means you have a chance to get it some more as you go down some of those paths. So as you go down that path the next time, they have a better chance of showing up so you can get them and do a lot better. Tip number 16, using your energy on level materials, light cone materials, and actually honestly traces and ascension materials is the best thing you can do all the way up till TL 40. Yes, I know you might want gear. Yes, you're going to get some from the simulated universe. That's great. But you really should not be farming gear until you hit that TL 40 where you can get that gold gear. Your energy will be way better spent when you can get gold gear than just trying to farm purple gear. And honestly, you really don't need to farm up your gear that much except for your primary DPS. The general rule, and this is kind of point number 17, tip number 17, is when you're upgrading gear, don't upgrade blue gear past +3. Don't level purple gear past +6 unless it's your main DPS. And then you kind of want to max that out if it's as long as it's the right stats. But we don't care about substats right now until you get into the end game. An additional bonus tip is that the game already gives you a ton of free gear from your adventures log, from the regional shops, from any of some of the hidden quests, and a lot of the elites that you should be taking down before the equilibrium up drop a ton of gear from those chests to the point that you should have enough 4-star gear that you don't have to farm anything. Yes, I know we all want the elemental specific gear, but you should wait till it's gold and it's going to go a lot further. And this is not the most exciting tip in the world. When you're building a team, if you have a tank or a taunter, make sure that that tank or taunter is on the left or right hand side And also make sure that the healer is next to it or your other supporting units next to it, because you usually build them a little bit more DPS-y. So if you taunt a boss and they have a cleaving mechanic, it's only going to hit 2 characters instead of hitting 3 characters or even 4 characters because you put them in the middle. So put them off to the side. It's going to help you out in times that those bosses or enemies have cleave mechanics. All right, that brings us into our final point, which is, once again, not the most exciting point in the world. Assignments. Do not get any of the materials you can farm for free on those assignments. Make sure you're focusing on those XP materials. Make sure you're focusing on those light cone materials, and make sure you're focusing on that money. You're not going to have issues with money until way later, and if you don't have the battle pass, you're not going to get a lot of money there. So make sure you are farming that, which brings me into tip number 20A. There's daily missions in different areas that do give you 5,000 credits a day, and that does stack up over time. And I highly suggest you do these, because as you start getting the level 50, 60, 60, 65, 70, it's going to get a lot more expensive to level characters up. Woo. All right, I failed. I tried to hit it in 10 minutes. I hit it in just under 11 minutes. Thought we did pretty good. Some of those tips were better than others. Let me know in the comments down below if some of these helped you out. Maybe they didn't. Maybe they did. You know, I have a lot more explainy guides out there. I'll have more for you on the way. I do appreciate you. Once again, if you guys can hit that like and subscribe, it does help out the channel. I'll see you out there, and fist bump from me to you.